growing two gardens. How do you decide if you want to plant a vegetable garden so that you can save some money, know what you're putting in your mouth, know what your family's putting in their mouth, know that it hasn't been sprayed, that it's been taken care of. The best way to do that is to grow your own. You can grow your own vegetables, anything from using containers like this, containers like this, which these are for sale. There was a third one, but I bought it last week. You can use a container like this on your deck or patio. In this, I wouldn't do a tomato in this, it's not large enough, but you could do lettuce, you could do carrots, you could do red beets, you could do pepper plants. You can also do a cottage garden, which is making a small garden near your kitchen that you mainly do with herbs and things. You can do a tomato here or there and some lettuce, things that you're going to use. You can do a garden that is just level with the ground, as big as you can. You know, develop the soil and plant it. Or you can do a raised bed garden. And that's taking 2x6s, 2x8s work better, and make them into a box, whatever size you can do. And then you fill that with topsoil and compost. So you're starting out with excellent soil and excellent composting abilities. The advantage to raised bed gardening, while it takes, I had raised beds 2 houses ago and I loved it, but this one's just too large for me to get around. I don't have the time. The advantage to raised bed gardening, you know, where it just basically looks like a box, and you can make it out of wood. You can use rebar. We recommend using pieces of rebar inside and outside to hold the box in place, and then put your topsoil and your compost. The advantage is you've got walkways in between the boxes. So you can put grass on that if you want to cut it. You can put mulch in there if you don't want to, or stone if you don't want to. You can work the soil earlier because it's raised up. It warms up quicker in the spring, so you can plant earlier and you'll get a better crop from that. So I highly recommend raised gardens if you have the time to do it. And the energy. What do you want to plant? You want to plant what you like to eat. And you also want to plant what will grow reasonably, and depending on the time of year, you can work your garden. I didn't get my garden in until 2 weeks ago. It was the first I could start with everything, because spring is a nightmare for us. So I don't do the cold crops. I never grow peas, because peas should be put in March. And they don't like the heat. Broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, you can do those later, but they'll be much more effective if you put them in early, in March. When you can work the soil, you can put those plants out. If you like onions, buy onion sets. They have all different kinds of onion sets. They're just little tiny onions. You have to make sure you put the root side down. Green side up, always works. Plant those. At the end of the season, you can take those out, let them dry with the stems on, and you can take a piece of rope and actually fasten them on next to each other and hang in your kitchen, and they'll stay for most of the winter. So you grow what you like, you grow what you have space for. If you only have a 6x6 garden, don't plant watermelon. Okay? It just isn't going to work. But in a 6x6, you could do several tomato plants in your corners. You could do a pepper plant or two. You could do some lettuce or some spinach, maybe a small thing of carrots. Speaking on that, when you decide where your garden is going to be and how large it's going to be, you really ought to take the time to take a piece of graph paper and lay the garden out. Some things work very, very well with each other. You know, you put dill in with tomatoes. Why do we do that? Because the hornworms that like to eat your tomato plants like dill better. So they will go and eat your dill rather than your tomato plants, giving you time to find them, pick them off, and make them go away. Marigolds in a garden work very well. They tend to inhibit other insects from coming in. It doesn't keep it insect-free, but it helps a lot if you put marigolds in. You know, the stink bugs? Yeah. And it just looks pretty. So, depending on what you want to do, depending on how large of an area you have, that's what depends on whether you do corn, pumpkins, Anybody can do spinach, different kinds of lettuces, carrots, things like that.